Yes, it's on 4G now.
4G. Okay, right, we'll try again because Grace is probably in her room watching plants grow or something on her vegan telly. Okay, let's try again. I've got to now find this video when it kicks in. Right, we're on again. Let's go again. Share now. I've shared this video post now, so there's going to be all sorts of chaos out there tonight. I'm just going to share this to my page now.
Oh.
And then I want to delete one later. And I'm not going to know which one am I. Okay, so we're talking knives later, but I was just about to talk about some of the stuff that's been on SoftRep this week, and I've just started to talk about Kim Jong-un, and nobody has a nuke button on their desk, which I thought was quite funny, because nobody does actually have a nuke button. It's like here's my nuke button there. It doesn't happen like that, okay? So there's no nuke button, there's no great big sort of like double keyed thing that you have to do, but there is a procedure to start slinging nukes about, and they're going to tell you how on SoftRep. So go and have a look at that, because that's a really good piece written there. There's also a bit on Brazil. Now, they've bought our last helicopter carrier, so that's going over there, so there's a piece on that. Russia sleepers. Right now, in the Cold War, Russian sleeper cells for intelligence gathering were quite a common thing in the UK, in fact, all over Europe. And there's a piece on Russian sleepers, which is quite an interesting bit as well. And then there's a bit called the Grey Wolf, and that's all about cruise missiles and the way the Americans use them. And basically, the Americans have got so tight with this stuff now, and such good quality stuff, that they can wage war and replace thousands of troops by use of drones, missiles, etc. And that's all on. That's on a piece written called the Grey Wolf. So all that stuff's good. Like I say, the SoftRep stuff is all written by operators. Okay, so it's operator driven, all by blokes who've got experience, who've all been there, seen it, and done it. So please go and have a look at the SoftRep stuff. There's some really good stuff, and those are my picks of the day from the stuff going on SoftRep. Okay, the main event today then, we are talking knives and knife attacks. Obviously, in the UK, there's been a few things just lately in the press have saddened me, or stuff that I've seen on Facebook. I saw a piece today, which I'm not even going to give the time to air, that was of obviously someone who was either homeless or had a lot of kit and bags sat by him, and someone just kicks him in the face. And I thought, you horrible, disgusting lump, what a piece of obvious you are. How disgusting is that? He's obviously lined it up, he's teed it up, he's picked on a bloke. It looks like the guy's even got a white stick next to him, so the guy could even possibly be blind. And he tees him up, stands next to him, gets his mate to film him, and kicks him straight in the head. Now, to me, you are an absolutely scummy, horrible dregs of the earth if you can do something like that. And I really, really hope they catch you, and I hope they put you inside with the most horrible, miserable, disturbing criminal they can find. And if that means they have to sling you on a wing where somebody's likely to play with your bottom, then that's where they need to put you, because you are a horrible individual. And not just you, but the bloke that filmed it as well. Because if you want to film stuff like that, you're just as bad as the bloke doing it, as far as I'm concerned. And it's honking. So I don't want to see that shit on my screens anymore. It's just disgusting. The other thing I saw in France was a female copper getting kicked up and down the high street during some sort of thing going on New Year's Eve. Again, disgusting, cowardly act. I don't care if you've got beef with the police. You know, beating up anybody, you know, hundreds against one, and booting somebody up down the street, that just is cowardly and not required. So, a couple of things there. And then, of course, we have had the 4 fatal knife attacks in London. And again, knives are for cowards. If you must have a tear-up, can you just use your fists? Can you just do it mano a mano like they did in the old day, without having to cheap shot people, without having to drive something through their ribs, without having to sneak up behind them? Because it really is a coward's way of fighting. It really is cowardly. And nobody's impressed by you, and nobody thinks you're big, and nobody thinks you're clever, and everybody just thinks you're scummy, and it's just a horrible, horrible way of doing business. And unfortunately, there's more and more of it nowadays, and I don't know what's wrong with people. You know, like I say, I can understand there's conflict, I can understand sometimes why people want to fight. What I can't dig is people cheap-shotting and running knives through people and giving it all this, that and the other, because it is just disgusting. Anyway, that's led me to this next piece, which I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to quickly talk about knife attacks. We're going to talk about the types first. The type of wound you could expect, the type of blades you could expect to see around, and, you know, ultimately what it is we can do to do something about the aftermath of a knife attack. I'm not going to go into the fighting techniques tonight because I don't have anybody here I can do the demonstrations on. And Wendy's sick of getting thrown around, I've got to tell you. So, right. Let's have a look at the type of knives. Okay. The main types of things you're going to do with a knife are either stab, slash or chop. Alright? And hence, there are different knives for different jobs. So, I've got a knife here. A smallish knife. Okay? That's a typical... You're not really... You can slash with that. Most knives can sort of like do different things. But that's more of a stabber and a jabber. Okay? So that's the sort of thing that's going to go into your ribs. That's the sort of thing where you're going to... If someone attacks you with that, going to be looking to get that in you, I would imagine. Okay? I haven't got a Stanley knife here. Remember the old Stanley knives for the old slashing where they just put two blades together so you couldn't sew up afterwards? Don't forget about the old Stanley knives. Okay, hacking and chopping then. Now, I don't have a sword, but swords have been used in this country, and of course that copper disarmed with a sword, some maniac outside Buckingham Palace. So in these frenzied style knife attacks, the chances are you might come across a sword, okay, but you're much more likely to come across something like a machete, like the one I've got here. Now, this is more difficult to stab somebody with this, but hacking and slashing, the damage you can do with this is absolutely incredible, okay? I mean, I'm talking, I could probably get that halfway through your arm on the first chop, without a doubt, okay? So you can see the sort of carnage I can reap with that. I don't have to go too far into you before I've seriously severed some horrible veins and arteries and that which are in your body, all right? So you can see where I'm going with this with the injuries. And then finally, you know, I just hope you never come across one of these in your life. But it has happened, and it has happened around here. This is a particularly disgusting piece of kit, okay? This is an axe, all right? And obviously, if somebody's wielding one of these about, all right, now this one is fairly sharp, and I can sharpen this one up ridiculously sharp. If somebody's wielding something like that about, then the chances are, you know, the whole limb's going to go missing, all right? If I smack you with that, all right, if I hit you on the arm with that, as hard as I can, I'm going to take your arm off, especially if you've got little spaghetti arms and you haven't got great big fill arms, all right? You're going to get your arm taken off if I slap you with that, all right? I could almost probably get your leg off with that as well, all right? Certainly your lower leg. So that, again, is a horrible piece of kit. It's going to do a lot of damage. There's going to be blunt trauma. There's going to be blood everywhere, okay? It's going to be disgusting, all right? But if you've never thought about it, you'll never know how to combat it. So those are the main sort of wounds we've got. We've got puncture wounds, obviously, and we've got mass trauma and amputations. Now, the mass trauma and the slashes, okay, that's going to lead to ultimately a blood flow problem, i.e. your blood is going to be flowing out quicker than you can keep it in your body. The blood flow has to be stemmed and has to be contained. Okay, so we're talking probably tourniquets. Now, I'm not going to do the tourniquet lesson today, or we're talking direct pressure above wherever the injury is to stop the flow of blood to where the actual injury is. So if my hand's gone missing, somewhere up here, you have to apply direct pressure. It's no point putting it on this side because you're not going to stop the blood coming out of the hole or the severance in this arm, okay? Same as if I've got a massive slash in one of my legs, you've got to go to the nearest arteries. Now, arteries are where the vein crosses the bone. Okay, so they're in here, and you will find them because you will basically, you'll put as much pressure on as you can when you're applying pressure, and you'll either see the blood stop or you'll have to look somewhere else for it. So I can't tell you that the artery is going to be exactly here. I can tell you roughly where they're going to be, but I can say that you're going to have to probably find it by trial and error. And that trial and error will literally be looking at the wound to say, yeah, the blood flow's stemmed, or no, it's still pissing out and squirting, okay? And believe me, if it's an arterial bleed, it will squirt and it will pump, okay? So you're looking to stop that blood flow, because all the time that blood comes out, it only takes 4 minutes to bleed to death, right? Now that's probably not very long when you're scrabbling about in your day sack trying to look for some quick clot or something like that, okay? If you haven't got the kit, haven't got the equipment, and somebody is bleeding out in front of you, you need to do something about it, even to the point that, you know, the femoral arteries, the ones at the top, you can even stand on those to stop people bleeding, okay? You need to stop that bleeding, and you need to stop it absolutely as soon as you can. Otherwise, putting that person down and saying, well, he'll be all right, and dealing with the next one is not going to happen. Similarly, even if that person has stopped breathing, if you start jumping up and down on his chest, all you're going to do is pump the blood out of him. You need to stem the blood flows, okay? Blood flows are massively important nowadays, all right? So with these sorts of attacks, multiple wounds, okay, and when you turn up on scene and you go, right, well, he's all right, he's all right, he's all right. If you've got probably one that's stopped breathing and one that's bleeding out, you probably deal with the one that was bleeding out before you attempted or directed somebody else, but that's a call that you've got to make yourself. Okay. So we've talked about slashing and amputee type injuries. You must control and stem that blood flow. And obviously before you go anywhere, you have to make sure that you're not going to become a casualty yourself, i.e. someone's not still chopping and hacking or that person's been chased off. And you've got to make sure that you assess the situation properly so that you're not going to be in the line of any further fire. I.e., you know, if you need to get that person out of the way for whatever reason, they're laid in the middle of the road or whatever, you need to move that person to safety before you start treating them, and that's imperative and important as well. Okay, so with stab wounds, then there's a possibility that whatever they've been stabbed with might still be in them. Okay. Now, in that scenario, you need to leave it in them. Okay, it's no good you pulling that out of them, because if you pull it out of them, all right, they might be bleeding, but if you pull it out of them, they might be bleeding even more. So you might have sort of like rammed it in the chest, and it might be stuck in the old aorta. Okay, and at the moment there's no hole in the aorta because you haven't pulled the knife out. As soon as you pull the knife out, there's a massive hole in the aorta. You bleed to death in seconds. All right, that's how fucking crucial it could be. All right, so no pulling knives out. What you do is you apply pressure around the area by doing what we call a donut. And you make like a donut which fits around it, and then you can apply pressure on that to stop the bleeding, all right? Again, you need to stop the bleeding. You also, if someone's been stabbed, it's advisable, and on these other wounds as well, because you might stop the bleeding on one arm, it might bleed on the other. Okay, so check for other wounds as well. And especially with a stab wound, in a frenzied knife attack, the chances are if the knife's left in him, he's probably pulled it out of somewhere else and stuck it in again, pulled it out of somewhere else, stuck it in again and left it. All right, so there might well be other holes. So you might be putting some pressure onto one hole, which ultimately is just throwing it out the other two. Okay, so you need to make sure that you do a comprehensive check on any body that you find, okay? And we will go right into the tourniquets and the application and all that sort of stuff, but I want to do it with a proper medic so that they can talk to you about it. And like I say, this show is not qualifying you to do anything. I'm just pointing out what can be done, okay, and how to save life in an absolute emergency, because I really am of the policy that I would sooner be judged by 12 than carried by 6, okay? And like I say, if it's loved ones that are laid there dying, well, you don't get a second chance at this shit, you really don't. I have had people say to me, oh, you'll get sued if you get it wrong. Well, fucking sue me. Do you know what I mean? If I'm genuinely trying to save your life and you sue me, then I'll deal with that and I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Okay. Right, and then obviously you need to call the emergency services as soon as you can and you've dealt with what you're doing. But like I say, fumbling about on your phone for 10 minutes while somebody's bleeding out in front of you is only going to result in one thing. That person dying, all right? So, like I say, it's up to you. You know what to do, all right? And you can research this stuff. And it is, if you haven't done one, extremely worthwhile getting yourself on some sort of trauma course. Now, I will find out places you can go, and I will find out people who can teach you, and I will point you in the right direction on this, because it is well worth doing. And like I say, then if you have got a qualified hand, if you have actually taken the time to do some courses, especially if you've got kids nowadays, you need to know what you're doing, do you know what I mean? Seriously, if something bad happens, and I hope it never, I really don't. I really do hope nothing bad ever happens to you or your kids. But if it does, imagine being stood there at the end of it going, oh, I didn't do anything because I didn't know what to do. And I lost 2 of my kids that night. Absolutely honking thing to even think about it, right? So go and get yourself qualified. Go and learn this stuff, all right? And make sure you keep up to date with it, all right? Right.
Sean Conley said, Phil Wendy, as an EMT, paramedic and first aid instructor, I was called upon to save a bloke who had collapsed with a massive heart attack in Manchester City Centre today. There was no doubt he was dead. After 20 minutes CPR and the third attempt of defib, we pulled him back, buzzing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's testament to the fact that you'd never ever give up. And me and Wendy actually saw one in Brecon. The guy had piled in, he'd been up the hill, he'd an older fella, he'd come up, and they'd give him about 6 adrenaline shots. They'd zapped him God knows how many times, and they were still working on him in the ambulance. And it's not my job. I don't know. It's not your job, and it's not my job, and it's not anybody's job on the scene to pronounce someone fucking dead. All right? Unless it's blatantly obvious there's no fucking head left on the body or whatever, do you know what I mean? And then we might consider that one. That while there's a fighting chance on someone, you just have to do something. You have to try and save that person, okay? Because, like I say, if it was my kids or me, I'd like to think that somebody at least would give me a fighting chance, you know what I mean? And it's imperative that, you know, if you have got kids, you can look after them to your best ability. And these courses don't cost a fortune to get on, or it doesn't cost a fortune if you can't afford a course to research the stuff online and at least have an idea of what to do, because God forbid it ever goes wrong in your life, okay? I'd hate to stand out the other end and go, could have done a bit more there, could have probably stopped that. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll take a few questions about what's going on. There we go. Could have probably stopped that. Who's going on about a traitor?
Oh, I'm just going to say it now to her. I'm just typing it out now.
Is there a troll on there again, is there? Probably the same troll that kicked that bloke in there, wasn't it?
I just said to Eileen, I'll read it now just in case you missed my message, Eileen. If you're on about Tommy, shut the fuck up. How about that one? Because you're doing my head in now. Fuck off.
Hello, Stacey, we've got trolls again. Yeah, mate, the heart consultant said without doubt he would have died without CPR. Of course, you've got to do it. You've got to get involved. And it's no good, like I say, you're on a timer. And, you know, the emergency services will tell you about the glorious hour. Well, you're on a glorious fucking minute if somebody's got a major severed fucking artery or something like that going on. You are in major, major problems, and majorly quickly. Facebook are pissing about with this feed. Yeah, we're not worried about Facebook. Emergency first aid kit, Danny Hyde is brilliant. He's a London fireman. He does the course for free for cabbies, says Grandpa. There you go. So I'm sure if you search around, you will be able to get this advice. And you will be able to get yourself in courses and get the right stuff. Adam Barlow, British Troops Remembered, sends love, respect to you and Phil. Sean Connolly, thank you, Adam. Jay Pycroft, brilliant, Sean. Jamie Field, I think you have New Year's trolls. Yeah, Colin Brooks, we love the trolls, don't we? We like little trolls, don't we? They're all right. Worth retraining too, because the information changes over the years. Yeah, especially medical training, okay? Medical training changes like the wind. All right, new techniques come in, more stuff's tried and tested. They discover all the time stuff that's going on. I'm just going to mention now as well something that I found out today, which I didn't actually notice. All right, in all major travel hubs and in all sports events, large sports events like Wembley or a big football pitch like St Mary's or Old Trafford or somewhere like that, and in most massive shopping centres, there will be an allotment somewhere in that venue of first aid and trauma kit to be busted out in the event of an emergency. And they've started doing that years ago, right? But I know the emergency services will say, oh, don't tell everybody. But no, people need to know, okay? They're just worried about stuff not being replaced if it's used, all right? But seriously, there is kit and equipment about. So if you find yourself in a situation where there is mass casualties and you are anywhere near a major venue, there will be major amounts of trauma kit there for you to get your hands on and bust out and bring down to those people that are qualified to use it if you're not qualified to use it yourself. As like I say, even if you don't know how to use a tourniquet, okay, when the paramedics are screaming, has anyone got any more? There you go, there's another piece of kit, isn't it? And that piece of kit might just save someone's life. So just think about it a little bit, alright? Well said, Wendy, what do you think about... well said, Wendy, what's Wendy? Yes, Wendy. Some organisations offer free CPR and basic first aid. Yeah, it's worth, if you work in one of these factories or somewhere like that, or and someone says, "Oh, do you want to do a first aid course?" Well, not only is it a morning away from your typewriter or whatever it is you've got, it's also a superb and well worthwhile thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Well said, Wendy. Nice one there. Well, Wendy. Steve Shipley. Well said,
They've never
Wendy.
heard me have a rant, have they?
Any comments on 10 o'clock cars burnt out in France and the migrants on the rampage, UK media black? I don't actually know too much about it, Lee, to be honest, but I can tell you France has got some major problems. Major problems. And it's, they're immigration problems. We can't turn away and say that they're not problems that have been brought to them throughout anything else other than immigration, okay? And, they need and we need to be doing something about that, okay? Because the numbers are swelling, the kit's getting less, all right, and it's a whole new situation. And we will touch on the France thing and the immigration thing, and we'll probably do a show on it next week sometime. Like I say, I don't know too much about what's going on about France at the moment, but I did go over there myself and do some filming the other week, so I've seen a little bit about what's going on. Most of those big refugee camps, by the way, have gone. And they're all the way up as far as Dunkirk now, and they hide out in the bushes and all that sort of stuff. So there's no real gauge of how many people are there. But there's so many people ingrained in their system now that, they're busting out all over the place. And what used to be one of world's most beautiful places, i.e. Paris, is now turning into a complete and utter shithole, I've got to tell you.
Chris said, Chris, we didn't want to mention it actually, but now you have mentioned it, we know it's okay to mention it. Can I get a big shout out for my old mum who died today, please?
Can we get...
He was reading something, sorry. Chris said, can you get a shout out for his mum who passed away
Chris,
today?
that's extremely sad news, buddy, and everybody's thoughts are with you there. So yeah, a shout out to your mum.
Let's have lots of love for...
Let's have some love bunged your way, and heart goes out to you, buddy. It must be a tough time for you.
Oh, I got an error while loading. I'm going to give you loads of love.
Philip Butwell says, go and pay £60 a year and watch Tommy, and we'll watch Big Will. With Big Phil and Wendy.
Big Will? It's been like Big Norm.
I don't even know my own fucking name anymore. There you go. I've just given myself an alias. Hi Phil and Wendy, hope you enjoyed your soup. We did, yeah, and there's still a little bit left actually.
I'm going to chuck it now though, because it was made with cream, so it will go for...
Only beginning years ago, I was waiting at a bus stop, leaving a date on the last bus to a remote area. The only other person waiting was a guy wearing an overcoat. Out of the bushes, a guy jumped out and produced a knife. And pointed it at the waiting man. He demanded his wallet. The man put his hand inside his coat and pulled out a revolver. The folk happened to pick on... Yeah, nice one, honey. Yeah. I mean, if only I could carry on, it'd be a nice thing. EDC says Terry Whitelaw, everyday carry. We're going to look at everyday carry again, both here in the UK and in America. Gordon Hardy, most town centres have defibrillator equipment. Yes, they do nowadays, yeah. But like I go to say again, you know, in these mass casualty situations after a terror attack, it's mainly the bleeding that's the massive problem. It's the people bleeding out because they've got, you know, all sorts of puncture wounds and holes and bits missing, and it's carnage. It really is. It really is carnage. Why did they not teach first aid in our colleges? Our younger generations need this. It is something that should be taught. And I do know that, you know, quite a few of the colleges are picking up slightly on it, and some of the universities now are picking up on it as well. So, especially on the ED side of life. But I might have an announcement on that soon, actually. So we'll see which way it goes.
Kath wants to know where Andrew is tonight. He was there. Andrew! Rattle something. Here he comes.
Benjamin Brugmar, I apologise, Big Phil. Where is the local pole dancing establishment, Red Rooster? I have no fucking idea. Although we're not too far from Shoreditch here, which is where all the pole dancing clubs in London are. So, hi Big Phil. Lee Henderson, sorry to hear that, Chris. Lee Dog, condolences, Chris. Loads of condolences for Chris coming in. And he, rightly so. Andrew's got something to say. Come here.
Andrew, what's this? He's run off. He runs off when Phil goes for him. Phil puts him on tables and things. Come on, Phil. Oh, sorry about this, folks. He's talking football scores with Perry.
Here he comes.
You've got your viewers waiting for you.
Sorry. Andrew wanted to come and say hello. Didn't you, Andrew?
Yeah, say hello to Kath.
Hello, Kath. You alright, chick? Yeah. You alright? We'll have some of that. Right, anyway, Phil's fucked off for 5 minutes, so we can say Kath Green, Alistair McClellan, loads of people watching tonight. I'm always happy to have you here. A big hello to all of you. Hands in the air if you're enjoying it. I'm busting a right old He's busting a right old shape. What's that?
Look, he's so lovely, that dog.
You stupid dog, you need to bloody
hell. Oh, puppy sends you kisses, Andrew.
He's busting a right old shape.
Lucas said he loves it when you put the dog on camera. It's so funny.
Phil and Wendy, I think it's disgusting that the police will be moving the homeless out of the way on the day of the royal wedding. Oh, you're right. You know, if there's homeless out there, they shouldn't be jogged on for anybody, to be honest. You know, they got it hard enough as it is. You know, it's just, I don't know. Obviously, they don't want to see it.
Benjamin Darcy would like to know what watch you wear.
I'm wearing and watching. Let's set Wendy off. It don't take a lot, does it?
My God.
I've got a Mudmaster by Casio G-Shock. It's a nice watch. It was a limited edition one because it's got the old desert strap on it. Can you get close on that? There you go. So that's what I'm wearing. It's got loads on it. I don't use half the stuff that's
He
on it.
He spent my carpet money on a watch.
I spent Wendy's
I wanted a carpet.
I spent Wendy's carpet money on it.
How many blokes would actually get away with that?
I know. But we didn't want a carpet anyway. Hi from Northern Ireland, said John Hepburn. What about you, Dad Arm? Bags for boys, homeless kids donations here. Mike Mackey, yeah, don't forget about them. Terry White, Lord Dunkirk, they have seen the film and think we're sending boats over to pick him up. Yeah, not fucking likely. Great advice, Phil, but what did I miss? We've been talking about knives, so just rewind at the end, mate. And get the right one as well, because it took us 3 attempts to get on tonight, which was ridiculous. Are you doing the hills in Spain this year? Most both welcome. I don't know, mate. You tell me. Wendy, British troops remembered. Makes the tribute videos of fallen British soldiers, current regiments for past wars. If we could help in any way, please call us. Okay, 100% free. Says Andrew. But Adam Barlow, thank you very much, Adam. Kev Ward, Terry Whitelaw, joking aside, we've actually caught them picking up off the beaches in France and bringing them. Well, I did, didn't I? I took a boat over myself and made a pickup and came back again and dropped off in 3 locations under the noses of the authorities who didn't give one fuck. One solitary fuck was not given that day. What clotting agents do you recommend? Mike, I'm going to get right into that next week because there's so much out there on the market. I'm going to have a decent look because I'm actually a bit further behind where I should be on all this stuff as well, to be honest. So it's jogged my memory as well. So I'm going to get out there in the marketplace, find out what you can get, find out what's on the market, find out what the military are using, and I'll get right amongst the clotting agents. I'll also touch on how many tourniquets, and we'll also do improvised tourniquets as well. So there's a lot to do. All right, there's a lot to do with this stuff, and it's more than one half-hour session, to be honest. Time to put EDC first aid kit. Yep, definitely, Catherine. The problem with the defib boxes is they have codes, says Leif State. Right, Leif, I think in an emergency you can phone up the emergency services and they will give you the code for the box where you are. Okay, and that's purely done so that people aren't lighting their cigarettes on the fucking things and all that sort of stuff, do you know what I mean? Because you can imagine people will be pulling them out, zapping people in the pub with them, wouldn't they, do you know what I mean, if they just left them there. So it's done so that the bit of kit doesn't go missing. Thank you, Big Phil, for standing up for those in need and being there for the brothers who dares wins. Thank you, Kevin Baker. Bags for the boys again. Mike Mackey, Face Sparks.
Colin Trevor Dodd. Was that Rob on the...
Jim Walker's watching Walker the Stalker. We will be down to see Jim at some stage. Jim, you'd like me axe. There you go. I bought that to come out to your place, Jim. So I can split some logs with it. There you go. I won't say where I got it.
Right, Colin...
Right, but... we're going to go and split some logs. It's actually Wendy's axe, it's not mine.
Colin Trevor Dodd said, was that Rob on the boat with you? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, mate, yeah. Andrew the Scotty. Hi, Phil and Wendy. Anyone should have first aid. Not everyone should have first aid. Yeah, everybody should at least know how to bounce up and down on someone's chest and deliver the kiss of life. You know, stop a bleed and put someone in the recovery position. Okay, and also here's a big one as well: treating for shock. All right, now people who treat for shock. Treating for shock is huge. Shock is a massive killer. All right, and it might just be as much as a blanket round them. Okay, bit of reassurance and a warm drink. That might be all the treatment for shock that's needed. But I'm telling you now, people die of shock. People fucking die of shock. It is a massive one. All right, shock. I forgot to mention down there. Treat for shock. Whenever you've plugged someone up, whenever you've brought someone round, whenever you've done anything to anybody, whenever someone's had an experience where, you know, they've had some trauma or, you know, they might have lost a lot of fluid, because shock is loss of body fluid, right? And you might have lost a lot of blood, you might have been perspiring, you might have lost a lot, you might have pissed and shit yourself. Alright, so you might have lost a lot of body fluid, okay, and shock is in part a loss of body fluid, and you need to treat for shock. You shouldn't show lip service to shock. And people that are traumatised, you know, the signs and symptoms of shock, you know, dilating pupils, you know, the slow reactions, all that sort of stuff. It's all needs treating for, alright? And shock does kill. So you might think, oh, we've plugged this one, they're alright, you know, and next minute, oh, they're passing out or whatever, because, you know, they're dying of shock, and it does happen, right? So, very important. What did Father Christmas bring Andrew? A couple of chew toys he got.
Which he got a squeaky toy.
He got a squeaky toy and had the squeak out of it in about 2 seconds. So that just turned from a squeaky toy into a toy.
Which is now half eaten.
He had some mince pies.
Mince pies.
He had a rubber chicken.
No, the
that
rubber
was
chicken.
Polly's rubber chicken.
That was Poppy's rubber chicken, and Andrew damaged that. He damaged that within about 2 seconds. And just some
Top of the morning.
doggy chocks and all that.
Tone Stevenson. Who is that? Tone Stevenson? Tony Stevenson. Tony Stevenson says Tone Stevenson. Why there's Tone Stevensons everywhere? Mark Fenton Highfield, long time no see, pal. And you, buddy? Spending Wendy's money. Must be born fearless. That's the wrong way round. Quick Clot is supposed to be good, but pretty expensive. All this, you know, I think the clotting agency are pretty expensive. Okay, tomorrow is Thursday. I'm not 100% sure what we're doing tomorrow yet. It all depends on how my technology binge goes, because I'm still playing around with all my stuff and my GoPro and all those bits and pieces.
Still taking up every side in the house.
I have taken up every side in the house, but it will be worth it because we will deliver some decent stuff this year, some really good stuff. And I do want you to see what I get up to during the day when I go out and about. So I'll be seeing Danny Lyons and all those sorts of people, and I want to film it and I want to bring it to you so you can see, because you missed a lot of stuff last year with me, which was really interesting stuff. We kicked doors in, we blew things up, we drove cars around at high speed, we did loads of stuff, and I couldn't bring it back to show you because I didn't have the capability. And now I'm going to have the capability, and it's going to be fun, okay? So trust me, we'll do everything we can to bring you all the interesting stuff that I do, alright?
Lee Anderson says, who dares wins Big Will? Haha.
Big Willie. Big Willie.
No.
No. Button mushroom Willie. Right, okay. With my button mushroom in line.
See you later.
Alligator. Big enough to fill a pram, Wendy. Don't you ever forget it. Right? Right. Okay, with all them cliches coming out in one go, I think it's time for me to disappear and end the show.
He's got embarrassed.
A little poetry coming on there. You won't embarrass me. It's the space I've got to try and fill that makes it look so fucking small. Now who's embarrassed? Right. Well, we busted is domestic out here, and I try and put the axe away with that because she's now got hold of the axe. Alright, so while I've still got a fucking button mushroom attached to my body, I think I'm going to call it a day. Who dares wins, and I'll see you all later on.